Hello, beautiful brown girl. Welcome home. My name is Sanja, and I am your host. Fun fact, my name means wisdom. That said, I want you to relax and enjoy today's video. Are you ready? Good. Let's get started. Hey, y'all. I think sometimes people mistake softness for waiting. You know, the damsel in distress motif. The beautiful princess staring longingly from the top of the castle tower, waiting for someone to rescue her, waiting for someone to choose her, waiting for someone to save her. And if we're not careful, we can start to believe that's what a soft life is. That softness is passive. That softness is sitting still until circumstances improve. That softness is waiting for someone else to come along and make our lives easier. But I've learned something different. Sometimes the softest thing you can do is stop clinging to what's no longer aligned and trust yourself enough to take the next step. A soft life isn't built by avoiding hard decisions. Sometimes it's built by making them. Many people think a soft life starts when life becomes easy, after the promotion, after the relationship, after the money, after the move, after all the questions have finally been answered. But some of the softest moments of my life happened while I was still waiting for answers, while I was still uncertain, while I was still figuring things out. Because peace isn't always found on the other side of certainty. Sometimes peace is what allows us to keep moving while certainty catches up. There's a moment in my Black romance ebook, Dick and Disappointment, where Sage finally stops waiting for Adonis to realize how great they could be together. She stops trying to interpret mixed signals. She stops making excuses for chronic ghosting. She stops romanticizing potential. And instead, she begins the difficult process of grieving what she thought they could have been, not what they were, what she imagined they could become. Now, if you've ever had to let go of an idea, a dream, a relationship, or a future you were counting on, then you know how difficult that can be. Because sometimes we're not mourning reality, we're mourning possibility. Sage believed that letting go would feel like failure. She believed walking away meant losing. She believed holding on was proof of commitment. But what she eventually discovered was that she wasn't holding on to love. She was holding on to hope that someone else would become who she needed them to be. And that's a heavy burden. What she didn't realize at the time was that her soft life wasn't beginning with a man. It wasn't beginning with success. It wasn't beginning with certainty. It began the moment she chose herself. Unbeknownst to her, while she was grieving Adonis, she was making room for everything that was actually aligned, including Samson. Now here's the important part. Samson didn't create Sage's courage. He didn't create her peace. He didn't rescue her from herself. He simply arrived after she had already made the decision to stop settling. And I think that's where many of us get confused. We look at the blessing, we look at the breakthrough, we look at the outcome, and we assume that's when the soft life started. But often, the soft life begins much earlier. It begins the moment we stop fighting reality. It begins the moment we stop forcing things that no longer fit. It begins the moment we trust ourselves enough to release what isn't working. Sometimes softness looks like rest. Sometimes softness looks like boundaries. Sometimes softness looks like walking away. And sometimes softness looks like making a decision before you have all the evidence. Not because you're reckless, not because you're impulsive, but because deep down you know that staying where you are is costing you more than moving forward. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions about a soft life. People assume softness means comfort, but softness often requires courage. The courage to trust yourself, the courage to disappoint people, the courage to choose peace over familiarity, the courage to believe that what's meant for you won't require you to abandon yourself to receive it. So if you're in a season where you're waiting for answers, waiting for clarity, waiting for the next chapter to reveal itself, I want to encourage you not to confuse waiting with inactivity. And don't confuse softness with passivity. Maybe your soft life isn't waiting somewhere in the future. Maybe it's being built right now. One courageous decision at a time. One released expectation at a time. One peaceful step at a time. Because the soft life isn't built when everything finally becomes easy. Sometimes it's built the moment you stop waiting for permission to begin. That said, if you're on your own soft life journey, subscribe. We're going to be talking about discernment, rest, femininity, emotional safety, and becoming the version of yourself that no longer feels obligated to survive everything. Oh, and before I go, if you enjoyed this little soft landing conversation, you're probably going to love my Black romance ebook, Dick and Disappointment, which is linked below. It's a warm invitation to escape the world, get lost in a Black love story, and maybe even find yourself along the way. I love y'all. And until next time, bye.